Steve Moore joins us, co-founder of the Committee for Prosperity, host of More Money, and author of The Trump Economic Miracle. Steve, welcome back. It's always good to have you with us.
Hey, Annie, good to be with you. And by the way, the same goes for the third largest city, which also has a socialist mayor now, Brendan Johnson. So, and then Seattle. It's very, very sad what's happening to our major cities: Minneapolis, Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, I love America's big cities, and they're iconic, but they're just being buried in bad policy that is just destroying these cities with crime, terrible schools, high taxes, homeless people everywhere. And so I hate to say it, but this is what happens when you have quote progressivism in the mayor's office.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating that we could have so many examples with so many, controls from one city to the next with this very leftist Democrat leadership and governance. There are a lot of probably smaller town mayors who might be of the Democrat persuasion, but they still manage to operate a functional city level government. But the far left wing has captured our largest cities, and the consistency is so devastating. And, I'm looking and seeing what Karen Bass has to offer in California. I don't know what she could possibly say that would make somebody who's paying attention in this, last week here before the primaries be like, oh, yeah, you're doing a great job. I mean, Spencer Pratt says, look around, and that's all. That's what he's got.
That's so right. And, everyone knows that when you have a problem or addiction, the first stage to recovery is to admit you have a problem.
Yeah.
And yet that has not happened in Chicago. That's not happened in Los Angeles. It's not happening in New York. What problem? Everything's just fine. They burned down thousands and thousands of houses because it was rich people, and we don't really care about rich people. And so, so you're seeing a big migration out of the big cities. Now, it's not that hard to turn cities around. I mean, I was working in New York in the mid-'90s when Rudy Giuliani became mayor of New York, and everybody said it's ungovernable. And you could see just week after week after week the huge improvements in the city. And, you got rid of the crime, you got rid of the graffiti, you improved the schools, you had accountability, you required people to obey the laws. And, within a year, he turned the whole city around. It was a delightful place to be, to work and to play and to go to restaurants. And now to see those cities moving in the opposite direction is kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah. Steve Moore speaking with us right now. I have a question for you. You've studied economics for decades, and I can imagine that your fiscally responsibly conservative positions have been pretty consistent over those decades that you've been studying economics. But the opposition, those folks on the Democrat side of the aisle, I'm wondering, when I'm looking at some of these candidates that are being put up by the left, it really seems as though the platform is simply just to oppose Trump. And it doesn't even matter that they're not running against Trump or even maybe in the federal government, that Trump is always the opposition in all of these races. And to me, it seems like there are some populist measures and policies that this administration has put forward that I wondered if, Steve Moore, you have worked with Democrats in a different lifetime that might have found some way to say, you know what, that's a policy President Trump that I could work with, or that there was Democrats at a different time that would have said, how can we come together? But because his name is Trump, this iteration of the Democrat Party is disinterested in the whole thing.
No, there's no question about it. So, when I first arrived in Washington in 1983, so that was a long time ago. That was 40-some years ago. Reagan was president, but there were at least half of the Democrats, maybe not half, but at least a third of the Democrats in the Senate and House were kind of old conservative, Democrats. It used to be the Democrats were the conservative party. And so, we passed, when we passed our tax reform law in 1986, which lowered tax rates and got rid of tax breaks for people. And there was great achievement. That passed 97-3 in the Senate. Can you imagine anything today passing 97-3?
No. You couldn't come together.
Impossible. You can't even get 60 votes for anything, let alone 97. So things have changed. And look, there's no question the Republican Party has become more conservative, but the Democratic Party has just gone, cuckoo left. And I remember when Bill Clinton was president, we were he was a Democrat, and I didn't necessarily like his personal behavior, but his policies were pretty good. And we did a lot of bipartisan stuff when Clinton was president and when Reagan was president. Now it's like, hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, devastating for the country in the wake of it, because I think that's what we're seeing manifest in some of our large cities, where the version of the Democrat Party that could best lead those cities, it's not like, okay, they've got a few extra government programs here that you would expect somebody on the left to have. It's becomes this far left progressive, destination that doesn't even serve its people. And then the cities become uninhabitable, and then they leave for bluer cities and redder states, and then you wonder what happens in those red states with the migration of people there.
That what's happening now is that the people who tend to be moving out of the blue states are the Republicans. So, in fact, the red states are getting redder and the blue states are getting bluer as a consequence of the interstate migration. But I'm looking at, for example, San Francisco now, and San Francisco has adopted a pretty moderate pro-business Democrat as their mayor. And San Francisco was just a mess during COVID, in the aftermath of COVID. But, my son lives in San Francisco. He said, Dad, things are getting better here every day. So you don't need a right winger. You just need somebody who's rational, who just can be like a CEO and just run the place. And so, San Francisco's on a comeback. And then meanwhile, Seattle's a disaster. Los Angeles is, I love LA too, but my gosh, it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
What's going on in LA.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Bringing it home before we let you go here to my state of Illinois. Last night, they passed a budget. You probably haven't, I don't know if you've seen any of these stories yet, but part of the Illinois House Bill 5093, they have expanded in the state of Illinois eligibility for in-state tuition for people who are non-citizens. So if you come from Missouri to go to Illinois, you're going to pay out-of-state tuition. But if you come from Central America and you aren't a citizen, you're going to be able to qualify for in-state tuition. I mean, you can't even make this make sense.
Well, as you know, I went to the University of Illinois, so that was a long time ago. But now so many of the students at Illinois are from China.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're paying the full freight, but I think that the idea is, well, if you're a non-citizen, I don't think you should be getting government benefits. And I'm very in favor of immigration, but if they're not, these benefits should go to people who were born here, not people who came here. So, and then I just was reading too that Illinois wants some new tax on the internet,
social media
that they want to, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the social media tax. I mean, these people will tax anything that moves.
Yeah, I don't even know that it has to move, Steve. I don't think motion is even required. Before we let you go, I know only for another minute or so, we're speaking with Steve Moore, co-founder of the Committee for Prosperity. Can you just assess to us at this point in the president's approach? Is the Trump administration's approach to this economy, yes, even in the midst of a non-completed conflict, if you ask the president, with Iran, is the economy in a better position today because of this administration's policies?
Oh, I don't think there's any question. Now, look, as the Iran conflict caused setbacks, for sure. It's been expensive. I think it's been a lot tougher than Trump thought it would be to get this done. And so, it's led to higher prices and a lot of, additional expenditures. But this president, before we went in Iran, we had the lowest gas prices ever. The word I would use for the U.S. economy right now is just resilient. Even though we've got these problems in the Middle East, the economy is still doing pretty darn good. I'd give it a B grade. Mm-hmm. Gas prices are still too high, but my gosh, jobs are out there. You've got a record high stock market. You've got businesses investing like crazy. We're blowing away the rest of the world. So, and we're producing more oil and gas than ever before. So, I'm going to rate the economy a B right now. And I know people say C or D, but I think, that, and I understand. You go to the grocery store, you're pissed off when you come out of the grocery store and paying the bills. But incomes are going up. So I think we're going to get through this. And by the way, when the Iran conflict is over, I think you're going to see a super boom.
Gangbusters. Let's see. I hope so.
Yep.
Steve Moore, thank you for your time. We're grateful for you.
Thanks. Have a great week.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye-bye. The co-founder for the Committee for Prosperity, host of More Money, and author of The Trump Economic Miracle. You go to committee to unleashprosperity.com.